make sure if there are any outstanding needs or questions that you might have, that then we're gonna follow to Chris to share with the larger group, and need you to write those. Should have a blank form. If you don't, some blank forms are coming now.
Who do I send my questions?
I hear you. I'll give you her number.
I've already got Sharon's number.
We know how many of you attended public hearings there will be. 3. Oh, how many of those? Is that what?
Technically, this is a public meeting.
No, you'll have a public hearing to review the work.
Oh, okay.
It's listed, there's 3 different ones.
I'm sorry.
I'm just 3 different public hearings. She's wanting to know how many public hearings.
That's right.
I'm just curious as how much more this is going to take me out of the classroom. That was one thing that my principal and I was not crazy about, because I'm not in the classroom.
Well, nothing says our meetings have to be during.
But the public hearings would be, these would be set.
Well, we could change the others.
Right, but that doesn't work for the majority of our.
Do you need a phone call from your appointee's office?
No. He wasn't crazy about it, and I wasn't crazy about it either, just for the same reason. I don't want to be out of my classroom.
I mean, here's a question. If these need to be ready, not that I don't want to drag anything out, but if we need to have this stuff done by October 1 of 2015, why are we jamming it into October?
I think the
Oh, we're not gonna do
commissioners
that October
think
this year.
we will not.
No, it's
be ready by
October 1 of 2015.
Right.
But I think she wanted to make a report to the board that this process has begun. So 6 meetings was by no means the total number of meetings it would take for this activity to take place. But
When is the next board? Not our meeting, but I mean the next.
Right, the big board.
Yeah.
I don't know the date.
Okay, that's my
But
question.
she would at least have said, we met the deadline within the 30 days, they are meeting, here's the list, you know,
She didn't say that today.
Well, she can as of today.
Yeah.
Right, as of today.
Okay.
All right. While I'm thinking of it, I have everybody's information. Does everyone else have this, or did you just give it to me?
I just gave it to you because it's not official until, you know, they type it and do whatever they have to do.
All right. So once it's official, I hear we have one more person coming. Unless someone objects, we'll type this up, and we'll send you an email with everyone's email and phone number. I don't know if we need to have everyone's address, unless someone has a reason that they just don't want it out there. But that way we can communicate amongst ourselves. Openly.
Just in case we, want to try to work out a car ride together or something.
Maybe just the town.
Yeah.
I'll put it all in there. It's up to you guys.
I don't care. Mine's easily enough.
Everybody?
Anybody's fine.
All right, so we'll send you the entire spreadsheet of their address, city, phone, email. So that way we can communicate, ask questions. I guess I would be obligated to say that if you meet one-on-one, that doesn't constitute a meeting, because meetings would be subject to sunshine laws, and therefore they have to be open to the public and or, minutes or video or whatever has to be available to the public. So.
But we can meet to just like, go through things and bounce ideas and stuff.
Yeah, well, you just can't.
To prep for.
You just can't make decisions that then come in here and get ratified automatically. We have to have the conversation in public meetings because that's proper and fair. Yeah. Right. I guess then, Gwen, we'll be notified when we have to make those public hearings or when we have to attend those Board of Education or legislative meetings. They would like us to make a report.
I'll have Mark communicate with you as of this afternoon.
And then all the other groups are electing a chair and co-chair, right?
That's right. And they
So
have to
then-
have it by tomorrow.
And then is that group at some point meeting to discuss?
It's my understanding they will.
Okay. Okay.
Just got a whole bunch more meetings.
Well, I would think we could do it I would think,
Yeah.
well, we do it by phone, or if it's the chair and the co-chair, and we're already here, and if they're already here, we can just do it then.
Skyping is wonderful.
Go to me.
I'm all for Skype.
Either one.
Skype, we can do Skype and conference calls too. I'm all for that.
Are you okay with that, though, with as many meetings as it's gonna take you?
Yeah, I am. I'm okay with it. It just means I need to do some creative scheduling. I can make it work. If this had been last year, I would have said no. I was a little busier last year, but this year, I can do it.
Okay, and then, just as a clarification question, I'm not stating anything. So, as we were working after lunch, we have narrowed ourselves down to working on, the next gen. Did we agree on working with Massachusetts, or are we gonna stick with the old expectations? But I thought, I was kind of under the impression we didn't like those. They didn't work much. So are we gonna work with next gen, and is it Nate in Massachusetts? Is that what we?
Nate didn't really have one.
Oh, they were the ones, yeah, they were.
Names look more like this.
All right, so we'll stay away from them. So we've got, so we talked about Massachusetts and next gen. Did we talk about a third?
No, we have this resource from Missouri that we can use to reference, I mean, just.
Yeah.
And I looked up Connecticut's before they moved to next gen, and Connecticut's looks a lot, I didn't look through everything to compare it, but Connecticut looks a lot like our current CLEs and GLEs.
Well, all of Connecticut.
So,
I'm looking at these guys over here.
So Massachusetts would be the only one I need to bring tomorrow.
I'm asking.
That's the
You tell me.
question.
That's the question.
That's the question.
Okay, so yes. When I look around the room like panicking, I'm just looking for noddings. Yes. If I'm going to try and do this by consensus, you gotta give me something.
We have all the GLEs.
2010,
They're all in Missouri.
That's just, I mean, the two documents, yeah.
We have three, don't we?
You should have biology and then,
So you have your biology, you have your 6A, and then you have your other
Oh, yeah.
science for 912.
course level.
I have two.
It just says science course level expectations draft on the top.
You have one that says draft on it?
But
Yeah, it must be this. So we got three. Is that right?
Three from Missouri, yes. You have one that says 6A?
Yeah, 6A and one biology.
biology,
And then one that says,
draft science course level expectations, framework for instruction,
oh yeah,
assessment.
I don't have that.
Wait, I'm sorry, you don't have which
The
one?
one that says draft.
CLEs. The draft CLEs.
I don't have the CLEs, I did not bring those.
They were here. Yeah, they were on the table.
Draft?
That's big.
They're not on that. I don't remember how many copies they gave. Shelley, will you get one of those also as we get?
Well, I think, you know what?
That's not correct.
Is there somebody who doesn't have a copy of the draft personal expectations? I can give us one here.
I have the updated one.
We don't have any others.
Oh, that was the one for the non-biology courses?
Non-biology.
Correct, yeah, that's for everything else. Which we should get a copy of that.
Yes,
I have a copy on my, you can download copies on PDF. You can pull as a PDF, and you can pull up the.
But you can remember where actually when they were the one that said other high school science or something like that. Yeah, talking about there.
Okay, so we've got, what, 45 minutes left until 4 o'clock. We're supposed to meet till 4. So do we want, I guess my question is, we don't have Massachusetts, we have Next Gen. Do we want to some of those things that, I mean, some of those standards we have next gen, we start looking through them, and start talking about the general subjects we like and don't like? Or do you want to, and really, we don't have a lot of time left, maybe we should talk about what, we want to start going through these and then set up for the next. We've got all day tomorrow, which we continue to plow through some of this stuff and look at it. But then we have the next meeting, and then, so my question to you is, based on what happens tomorrow, we want to start looking at, because I don't want to just wing it every time we meet.
Right.
I don't like that.
think that,
Yeah.
you can set a goal. Do you want to definitely complete the review of 2 tomorrow? And then if you set that goal, then, we have to make our comparisons side to side, et cetera. And then when you come to your October 21st or 22nd meeting, whatever date it is, then you can compare that third one to the one that you have selected that was the better of the 2. And then you have to come up with all your recommendations. And at least then we can get a first draft that everybody can look at for that next meeting.
Will we have Massachusetts one tomorrow?
I'm gonna do my darndest.
I'm just saying that way we wouldn't have to do it and then go back and compare the third one. If we had all 3, we can go ahead and compare all 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you think that way, some people think better in comparing 2 things at one time. Others will do 3. It depends on what you're looking for.
The third is the GOs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just instead of going through the same process twice, I'd rather go through it once and say, here's all 3. Let's look at the first piece and, otherwise we have to go through the whole process twice.
So, like, let's look at force of motion and all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then, as a work plan, look at all 3. Some people, I do hope if you have questions or issues, you need to write them on that paper so that DESI staff can be responding or at least begin the process of looking if there are needs that additionally need to be met.
Okay, pardon me while I stand up, because I can't see that far, so I'm just going to ask, clarify what she said. So let's just say, you're looking at middle school structure and properties that matter. Okay, so high school has the same exact thing. So then we want to get the 3 things somebody tell me what an appropriate block of time is. In 2 or 3 hours, discuss structure and properties that matter, and compare and contrast all 3 sets of, what are we calling them? Expectations. I didn't want to say standards because we had that discussion. Am I correct on this? Okay, so then under that logic, if you will, we have.
And if people have read prior to our meeting, then it takes less time than if you have read and this is your first glance at it.
Okay, so there are 15 of those subject matters to go through. How many educators help me out here? What's an appropriate period of time to discuss each one of those?
It's good.
All right, so if I'm an employee, Senate rules, I'm going to limit debate at an hour per, 2 hours per, an hour per. So that's 15 hours of work.
You don't have to get through all of them.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, let's just say hypothetically. So I'm just trying to get a framework. I want your all's agreement on framework. Yes, sir.
What about if you set the debate for like 30 minutes and ones that don't clear in 30 minutes, go and find your supporting evidence, whatever the non-consensus point is, rather than sit there and just, because I mean, at that point, if we're at an impasse and we're 6, 7 or something in a neighborhood, we're going to need to go. That's going to be one of the.
We don't
ones
have 2/3 of a vote at that point anyway.
We're going to want to put it on, so maybe just set it 30 minutes, and if there is one that's a contentious one, that's the homework assignment, is to bring back. Okay, why are you taking this position? What's the evidence to support your claim? And that way, we might actually get through quite a few of them and only have 1 or or two sticky ones for our meeting on the 1st and the 2nd.
Okay, so let's say tomorrow is what, a 7-hour day? Is that right? 8 to 3. So 7-hour day. So that's roughly half of these at an hour per. So let's say if we do 30 minutes, or 30 minutes per, you can get almost through all of it.
For a grade level or for both middle school and?
For middle school.
Okay, yeah, when I say
And I
grade
guess
level,
my
I mean
next
grade
question
level.
is, do we want to compare, maybe we do it horizontally and not vertically, so maybe we compare structure and properties matter, middle school, high school.
I'd like to do the two side by side because that way we're focused on one thing and you see the progression all the way through. And while we're focused on that particular topic.
That would save time.
I like proper.
Open sequence.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
think of what we do this.
What?
Another way.
I said scope and sequence, I'm good at that. I've been on the district vertical team.
Well, tell me if I'm doing this right. So then we will look horizontally. So then, yes?
My personal thought, yes, I would look horizontally, that way you could line everything up, but that's also where we're gonna need that elementary component. We cannot look just at middle school and high school and align those vertically and not have the elementary portion and not know what they're deciding on.
That was a really good point. They go completely the other way.
Yeah.
You don't want to jump at the high school at that point because then you have the same problem.
Yeah.
If
So
somebody
that's
check in
the
with
problem.
everybody,
We need a
and just see
vertical
where they're at
alignment.
with their thinking.
I don't know why
They're
not.
here somewhere.
Are they in the building?
Well, I
I think
don't
so.
think.
What room are they in?
They're in a different building.
Are they in?
No, they're in a different
Okay.
building.
We find that there's always a disconnect. We don't have any-
Yeah, we need vertical
Well,
alignment.
can we go ahead and proceed with it and then get together after we've kind of made some progress and make sure things, we may need to go back here a little bit.
That was, that
Because
would be
it's
it.
not gonna work for us to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a governor, I don't have a call.
We
So,
have- we have
that, I mean, that would be
facilitated
fine if we
meetings,
made some
we asked everyone to
recommendations and
share
got
it.
some things in the works, and then
I mean, that's
Maybe we
as
can be on the phone tonight or tomorrow morning or something.
as a kind of shoring up kind of thing, that we go through and say, okay, let's look and make sure we hit everything.
Ellen?
K-12, or pre-K 12, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Ellen?
Everybody is everybody's in the same building, their groups, except for science. I just looked at the list,
Man,
science.
that dang gum Tessie, I tell you what.
Otherwise, everybody else is in the same building. Is there any way or a contact that we could reach out to the science group before they break for today?
That's what I was
And
gonna
see
say.
if we can get in the same building?
She's checking. And I'm sorry, Claire, you were saying something and I interrupted you.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Apparently.
Okay, I guess my question was.
I know what I was saying. We were talking about, Shelley said something about, well, could we at least do our part and then maybe, and I said, yeah, that would still work if we did our part and then as a kind of final shoring up, that was when we put things together and make sure that we're hitting everything pre-K through 12.
Okay.
I have a question, is next gen, does that go K through 12?
Yeah.
So if we could find out from them very quickly, I mean, if it just so happens that they're also looking at the next gen, then we can get a hold of the elementary version of this and figure we're probably gonna be pretty close, at least until we get a chance to get together with them.
She's checking to see where they're
I'd
at.
kinda like to know how their meeting's going.
Well, all I can tell you is from
Build off of that.
the phone calls I've been fielding and messages I'm getting from the speaker's office, we're pretty good. We may be the grown-ups at the table. Whichever side you fall on, I'm not judging, I'm just saying. Okay, so again, you go. So that's 2, so that's an hour, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe we just get through a block a day over the next 3 meeting days. Gives you time for lunch, gives you time for whatever other interruptions there's going to be. Does that make sense? So this is 1 hour section from middle school to high school. That would be, so that's a half an hour for each. Correct?
We're gonna
I'm asking.
It's 7 hour day, but there's an hour for lunch in there, right?
You got 45 minutes for lunch. You're going to have to take a couple potty breaks. So you're not even going to you may not even get through a whole block in a day.
Okay, can I ask something real quick?
Ask anything you want.
going ahead and saying just so I can make sure I'm remembering and understanding this correctly, we're gonna say we'd like to make those our new placemat standards. Am I understanding that correctly?
No.
No? Okay.
I thought we agreed to, so we could avoid overreach, not changing the placemat.
Okay, so we're
standards.
gonna look at those as groups, but then we're going to be able to pull them together.
We're gonna have to fit them under the context of the strands or whatever.
Okay, so we're looking at these as these groups, but then we're going to put them together and mash them together and make them fit in these streams. Perfect.
That is my understanding,
Okay,
yes?
just wanted to make sure I understood exactly where we were going with this.
What is this page called? Can we get a copy of this page?
Do we have, you have a copy of that
It's
page?
not, well,
It's
not
just a
on
web
our-
page, we could probably print it out or something.
I said, just so like, when we go home at night, I can say, okay, these are the areas I'm considering.
It's on the web, shows or something.
But I don't have a computer here in Leslie.
Log it at home if you want it at home.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 5 hours of work a day. You figure an hour for lunch, another minimum a half hour for a couple breaks. And so I think that those are solid days. So, and somebody tell me otherwise. So that would be tomorrow. That would be the first and the second.
I think it's second and third, isn't it?
Second and third. Okay, so tomorrow, second, third. And that's your agenda. Yes? For the next 3 days of meetings.
I think that's definitely a good jumping off point, because then we'll have at least gone through each of them, we'll all have notes, we'll all have an idea of what track that we're on, and be able to start kind of rewriting things and maybe rewriting, et cetera, et cetera.
And this gives us, because I know we've been plowing through stuff and rushing stuff, and I know there have been a couple times, at least a couple times today, I felt in a little over my head. So, I mean, tomorrow will be kind of a tougher day. So if we don't get through all these tomorrow, I'm not as concerned. We'll have some time to make up in here for the slow people like me to catch up. Is that okay with everybody? If we plan it that way, but then the rough plan will be tomorrow, second, third, and then at this meeting we'll figure out where maybe evaluate where we are, and then we can talk about the meeting for the end of October. Because the last we checked before break, we agreed to those meetings. Everyone can make those. It's good for everybody, so we don't have to change anything. Yes? Okay, so there's your deck. August is that.
You want us to read through the first 5.
Somebody earlier was pointing out that it says that the next gen things are copyrighted, but that we can still use them.
Correct. It's based on the website, what the licensing is.
Okay.
And state agencies are allowed to use them.
Okay, but it doesn't, if we take some of these things, it doesn't mean that we have to use all of their materials or all of their testing or buy anything.
There's no testing. No testing.
What was the October 20th, the second to the last meeting agenda? So I've got physical sciences September 23rd tomorrow, life sciences October 2nd, earth and space science October 3rd, the very last day, October 21st, according to the put together the recommendations of the state board, and then what did you say on the 20th for your agenda?
We didn't say. We said at the end of the day of the second or the third that we would at that point evaluate where we were, and that would determine whatever the agenda was for the meetings at the end of October. We didn't set an agenda for the last few days because I felt let's just see if we make it all the way through that by the end of the third or whatever that date is.
Who has those 3 state board of education meeting dates? Are they listed somewhere?
No, just give you when within so many days they have to the public hearing dates.
Yes, because I'm just looking at, Representative Barr's letter that got passed out this morning.
Chris, I'm gonna walk up to room 400. I was trying to wait to get a call to make sure that was the right room.
Okay.
And to see if,
How about that last paragraph? This is 400.
yeah.
This is 400.
No,
Oh, okay.
okay, elementary people.
I'm trying to make that match what we have in our hands.
I was just gonna say, we're trying to match.
How many separations?
That's why I was just asking for a copy that I was trying to figure out.
It doesn't
what-
match up exactly.
Nope.
So how, what is this?
Okay.
So what are we gonna look at tomorrow?
Okay. This is already stapled.
Well.
Topic.
Which one? Staple?
The middle school and high school ones are already stapled. Matter and interactions seem to definitely be the first one still. Forces and interactions. Structure and properties of matter.
So it's weird. There's a way to look at those by disciplinary core idea or by topic. What's that one?
Topic.
Topic.
Yeah, that's topic.
It won't matter in the end. I would pick the one you all have paper copies of,
Right.
because you have it. But in the end, it falls standards.
So is it anything that has the MSPS or the anything that has a PS part?
For physical
Yes.
science?
That's what we're gonna
Yes.
try and do tomorrow, right?
So
Yeah.
are they together or are they scattered?
I think they're in two different packets, because she gave us a high school packet and a middle school packet.
So they're not in the same order between the two grade levels.
We'll have to do it once.
They don't match up perfectly.
And this is only coming up to physical sciences 4. So I would just say go over anything that is physical
You can get a
science.
copy of it set up just like that.
Okay.
Well, you're dealing, if you look at it, you're looking at pages 54 through 60 in the middle school physical science packet. So it starts on page 54 with the matter and its interactions and concludes on page 60 with waves and their applications. So that's the middle school section, is those pages there.
And then in the high school section is 82.
The pages that match up with that though start back on page, I'm looking at page 40
Yeah.
of 102.
But they're both set up the same.
So,
And that's-
actually, they're set up similarly, they're not set up the same.
Well, they're not set up in topic, but they're
Right.
set up by the strand. The matter and its interactions is PS1 for high school and MSPS1 is matter and interactions
Right.
here. So for our paper copies, you will see the flow.
So when you teach, is it easier for you to look at standards written under the categories like that or like this?
I flow both ways.
I'm like, highlighting stuff, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm sorry, I'm not much help on that. You know, what I spend most of my time doing is I look at it by topic, probably.
So more like that.
Well, that helps me find what performance expectations I'm looking at faster.
I'm saying, so when we organize ours, should we organize them to fit under the topics? You know, should we look at doing it that way?
You know, with today's technology, that's kind of the cool thing about this is how you can gather them and change how you gather them. So, you know, I don't know, what do you all? It's a personal preference
They
thing.
have to be ripped apart anyway in middle school because this is 6 to 8 and each district picks which grade they're gonna put them in. So most districts will take them regardless and will pull them and put them in their own document, word for word, if that makes sense. So that's why it didn't matter that much.
Okay, can I change that screen so we don't have this problem
Sure.
anymore?
Yeah.
So like for matter and interactions, you see on, I mean, whichever document you're on, it doesn't matter, there are 6 in the middle school and there are 8 in the high school. Well, quite frankly, 3 of those might be taught by 6th grade and 2 by 7th grade and 1 of those by 8th grade. I mean, it just depends on the curriculum of the
Voila,
school.
and now matches.
Oh, there you go.
No.
And do you all have a pacing guide? So we have a pacing guide. And our pacing guide tells us when they want us to teach certain things. So they come in my room and I'm teaching sales. Okay, they expect me to be teaching sales at this time because my pacing guide says this time period to this time period. And that goes for all 6th grade teachers in the whole district.
We only do semester because some classes need more time than others, and so we say by the end of the semester we'd like you to get time to use, but we don't.
Right. Well, we've broken it up by the whole quarter,
Okay.
but they want you to cover at least 3 standards within that quarter. So it helps, and it helps the teacher to stay.
Sure.
You don't want to go spend 2 months on sales and not cover the other material. So for some it's good. If you stray off a little bit, it's okay. But it's just a guide.
How do the students perform when it comes to that? Like if you're on such a strict timeline in your classroom, how do the students perform? If you have to move on.
But you know what, we do Zoom now. So if I'm teaching whatever channel, whatever, and I have to move on to something else, and I'll make sure I go back and use as I do now when the kids are constantly staying refreshed of what we've already covered. So it's not like I'm teaching isolation, I'm teaching this, and then they never see it again. It's just coming up constantly. Right. As a do now, or you're doing a quiz or something that they'll always have to remember what was taught previously. Fortunately, our science scores went up. ELA and math dropped, science, boom. And then they spent less money on science. The training and all that, but we're doing something right.
Well, right now there's so many STEM opportunities and stuff. I'm involved with Scouts, and I know even through Boy Scouts, they're offering a huge STEM program now with the new robotics, and they do all kinds of things. And so, yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to kiss later. That's usually the part.
That just cut off, by organizing it that way, that just cut out some of the number of topics.
Well, that's what I looked at when I said 12.
Yeah. And now, don't they all say the same thing now?
Yeah.
All the way across? They do.
Looks like it. I was just spitballing here, and I wanted to throw this out to you guys. I'm thinking about these subjects, and so we're going to do a half an hour on middle school, high school, same thing, middle school, high school, same thing. And this is really going to be more a question directed at the educator type people. So rather than approaching an hour of those subjects, almost what would be free form, if we had, I'll open it up to parents, I don't mean to discriminate, but if we had someone who was willing, let's say they wanted to do their homework and they wanted to do Earth systems, and they wanted to facilitate that conversation over the next 3 meetings, over whatever day that shows up on, so 1, 2, that'd be the 3rd, would be when that one was discussed. And so let's just say, Clara wanted to take that one, and so that for the first 5 or 10 minutes of that debate time, she would kind of lay out obvious differences. I don't know, I'm throwing it out there. Maybe, I don't want to overstructure anything, but
Just asking the teachers, are there any topics that you are specifically expert on compared to other topics that you did split something?
Well, it sounds like we have a lot of chemistry teachers in here.
Right.
Actually, all my certifications are all areas.
we're making them make skirts later.
Like Earth and space sciences. You had mentioned that you relate a lot of your lessons to space.
That's where my curriculum is.
Would that be something that you'd feel comfortable, like, kind of being the facilitator for that one? If we went that route?
I'm just going to ask you exactly exactly what you want a facilitator to do.
Well, I was just saying, listen, we can all read it, we can have a free-form conversation about what the differences are, but if one person took a subject and said, okay, here are all the things that are similar between the three things that we're comparing. So then we can agree that those three things that are the same in all three of the subject matters are worthwhile. Well, we don't have to debate those anymore. To Jack's time, now we know that the other five things are something we can talk about. And then you can say, well, Massachusetts is different from Next Gen, which is different from whatever this other thing that we've had is. And now we can talk about those. I'm not asking you to render judgments per se, it's just where all these things line up perfectly, point those out so we can move on to the next thing. It may facilitate a faster conversation. If you guys don't like that idea, you're not going to hurt my feelings, I don't care, I was just trying to make it easy on everybody who wants it.
Well, I think if you're looking for just a comparison across the board in three areas, I think you could separate that up. Everybody take one and say, like, I would take the matter and its interactions from middle school, high school, and compare the next generation versus the Massachusetts versus our expectation, current level of expectation. I think anybody can do that. I think that's just a comparison.
Right.
What's different? What's the same? Are they all the same? If they're all the same, well, gosh, we probably should just say that needs to be done wrong.
Right.
I think that's probably something everybody can assign homework equally across the board. That if you're looking for a breakdown, kind of as a concept of is this a relevant concept for kids at the 7th grade level, then that would be one to fall on the classroom teacher to say yes, that's something definitely is relevant based on learning and that type of stuff. So it's just what is a group you want.
Yeah, I mean, because listen, I don't know that. I mean, sure, I can read anything, and if they're all the same, I can say, well, these three things are the same. But when it gets to what's different, I can tell you what's different, but I can't place any value to it because I don't know what's important for a kid.
Well, I think then once we see the differences, then we can discuss that as groups and discuss why it's different. I think that's kind of just that might simplify and speed up the process for everybody. As everybody take one and say, are they all the same or are they different? Then we can sit here and discuss why they're different. Or is the difference relevant, or is it just the wording difference? And have that discussion on whether it's actually relevant to current needs, or is that something that Massachusetts had in 11 but is now replaced by this, so we can throw it out. So,
What do y'all think? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not.
So we can start with the okay levels too, because I know at one point someone said like the expectation for like the list, which is the okay one. So we want more 3 or 4 when the kids have to explain, describe, synthesize, and that will bring in the language.
Does everybody know what DOK is? Depth of knowledge.
And the whole new set of
Recognize, recall, that's DOK 1, meaning it's a very simple thing.
I know you probably remember when we had time. That was a long time ago. A lot of them may just be changing the word. It may be fine. You just have to say it's on a list.
Compare.
Right, something like that.
Pick it up with DOK.
All right, so we've got a meeting tomorrow. It's short notice. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. You guys want to go that route, or do we just want to free-form it for tomorrow and see what happens?
Let's do the first one together.
Okay.
So that we can really see how, what we're looking at and how this is going to roll.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I think we're also still trying to figure out exactly what our product's going to be.
Yeah.
I think after the first one.
Okay, somebody got something else? Because it's been a big day.
Massachusetts, so right now we're just comparing, looking across the.
Right, hopefully we'll have it in Massachusetts tomorrow. So, again, maybe a catch-up scenario. Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone? Anyone?
We don't have to specify level at this point, it's just middle school, high school.
It's grade band.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
don't have to say anything.
And there's a reasoning behind that. You've got different school districts doing different things. And so unless you cannot mandate a curriculum per grade level. So you give a grade band, and then the schools can decide from there how they split it out to best meet their needs.
So what about like biology? Is there an EOC that's looking for biology?
Yes.
Biology is the only high school course that has an EOC.
Okay, so they're tested, so like they're tested in 8th grade on the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade things. So it doesn't matter because they're just testing like not at the high school.
It can be any grade, it just has to be when they take biology.
At the end of
So
biology.
some do it freshman
That's why
year.
I mean, the high school standards that we're gonna be looking at, will those be tested as a?
Yes. But no, biology,
No,
high
just
school
biology.
biology.
Okay, so the rest of those are not even tested.
Right.
Okay.
There is an starting this year, there's an optional physical science EOC, but the districts have to pay for it, I just can't imagine.
And not only that, we've got physical science where you get a semester of physics and a semester of chemistry, you've got the physics first program. There's so many different things that they're doing for physical science that project related. It's project-based learning for STEM careers, basic science, technology, project management.
Do independent or private high schools take the biology EOC?
Charter schools.
All right, anything else?
What did we find out about elementary science?
They were not in this building, and she didn't call. I went to the other two rooms in the building.
Oh, I knew they were in this building, they were over the governance office building. But
I talked to you before, and I talked to you.
we need to try to reach somebody and see if we can get in the
I'll
thing.
see what happens.
You keep things here in the room. Fix them. They're mine.
Maybe I know one of them.
It's a camera, whatever they are. That's right. Your name's right.
All right, we have a motion for adjournment? Huh?
We never. It's true, we are open and closed.
I guess not. All those in favor of adjourning? All those opposed, we're out of order.